decade. I'm going to go decade by decade of my life. And first decade is I'm gonna go decade by decade of my life. My first decade is I was born on 6/19/1958. So that's June 19, 1958. And I guess I was the hardest kicker coming out. I don't know. Your mom makes up stuff, I think. I was the heaviest. But ever since I was born, I was always the lightest. And I'm the youngest of four kids. First one was a girl. Second one was a boy, and the third one was a boy. So I got two brothers and a sister. So we're a family of four, plus the mother and dad. And my dad died on April the 3rd, 1976. He was the closest person ever to me. And my mother died on 6/18, 1989. And my dad died of a heart attack. He fell to the floor just before he got up to go to work, and he fell to the floor, and he had perfect attendance up until then. And he fell to the floor and clutched his chest and started saying, Jesus saved me, Jesus saved me. And he made it to the hospital through EMT, emergency medical team, with an ambulance. Made it to the hospital, and he was in intensive care for 3 days. So that must have been around the end of March. I think at the end of March or April 1st, right around there, is when he fell to the floor. Just before he was going to go to work. And that didn't happen that day. It was like the last day in March or April 1st. Well, anyway, the EMT got him stable enough where they can put him in the ambulance. And actually, the EMTs, I think there's 2 or 3 of them that came, and they got him stable enough where they could put him in the ambulance and made it to the hospital. And he was in intensive care from then on, and he lasted 3 days. I don't know why I can't talk about this, but it's been almost 40 years. But he died on April 3rd, 1976. He was the closest to me, okay? That was my dad. And my mother, she went in on sometime in December, she went into the hospital or to the doctor's office saying that she couldn't breathe. She was a smoker, but this is where she could, she only walked 20-30 feet. After 20-30 feet, she couldn't breathe. Okay, and then it wouldn't stop after that. So she couldn't breathe. So the doctor diagnosed her as having gallstones. So they set up an appointment like a few days later, and he did surgery. Yeah, she had a lot of gallstones. She had a lot of gallstones. She had them all taken out. I think they took out her gallbladder too. But then she came home after the surgery and started recovering. And she didn't have the breathing problem, so she thought it was done. So, but it wasn't done. About 2 weeks into recovery, she started having the same thing. She walked 20 feet, 30 feet, and then she couldn't breathe, and then wouldn't stop. She couldn't catch a breath. So, went back to the doctor. Doctor took the X-rays and said, "Oh, you got terminal cancer. You're dying in 6 months." This is about December 18th of 1988. Okay, December 18th of 1988. And doctor comes in the room and says, "Yep, you got cancer. You got lung cancer. You got lung cancer, and you're gonna die in 6 months. So you got terminal cancer." So, needless to say, no one was looking forward to that Christmas. Especially not me, because I was the only one living there with her. So, like I said, my birthday is June 19, 1958, and she died on June 18th, 1989. Almost exactly 6 months later from the doctor saying you're going to die in 6 months. Oh, those are the 2 worst days of my life, or periods of my life. And so done and done over. I've seen it from my mother walking normally. It's normally no problem. This is after diagnosis of she has terminal cancer. To walking with a cane, having to walk with a cane, to not being able to walk, only a very short distance, like 15, 20 feet, and then confined to a wheelchair for any mobility at all. And then we got a hospital bed stuck in our living room, and she laid in that, and she could sit up. She could sit up and go to the bathroom, walk 15, 20 feet to the bathroom and get back to her bed. But then, a few weeks later, she couldn't do that. So they stuck a catheter in with a bag tied, mounted to the side of her bed. So the piss would go down in the bag. And the bag had lines on it. And it's going to be important in a minute. I had to give her morphine every so often so she could deal with the pain of her lung cancer. And by the way, the second time she went in, and they said that she had terminal lung cancer, they stuck a tube right between her ribs. And the reason why she couldn't breathe is because the body will try to isolate any part of the body that's going to threaten the life of that body. So it was her lung. So what happened is that it would build up fluid under her lung, and then keep on building up fluid until now she can't breathe because half her lung is taken up with water underneath it, not in it, but underneath it. So that's why she couldn't breathe. But then she was able to sit up. She was able to sit up in her bed, and for a couple weeks, I think. And then after a couple weeks, she was only able to lay in her bed and watch TV. And then after that, she was sleeping most of the time. And I was giving her morphine every 3 or 4 hours. And then she would stay asleep all day and all night. She'd be sleeping. The only time she'd wake up is for the morphine to alleviate the pain of the lung cancer. We were told around that point that the lines on the bag, if she doesn't piss out this amount on the bag that is mounted on our bed, and death will ensue very quickly if she doesn't put out a certain amount within 24 hours, and that's true. And she didn't put out that amount. She died early in the morning, the next morning, June 18th, 1989. The day before my birthday, yes, that's correct. She's the one who gave birth to me too, She was 29 when she gave birth to me, and I was 29 at the time. So that's pretty coincidental, ain't it? But the last stages of death is, of course, she's sleeping all the time, and she just woke up for her morphine. When the pain made her wake up. I gave her, I think it's like two tablets of morphine. She was on hospice. Hospice is a company, non-profit company that allows you to die at your house. And that's what she wanted to do. That's what she did. On June 18th, 1989. Okay? Like I said, this video isn't going to be about me. It's going to be about my family. I've already told you I have a sister and 2 brothers. And my mother, my dad was born in 1920. He was a WW2 vet. And he was buried with full honors. With our flag. He was a World War II vet. And he was fucked up when he came back. But the doctors got him back around and gave him the paper that he was sane again. He was fucked up when he came back, though. From the WW2. And he was buried. He was buried with full honors and the flag over his casket. As a WW2 vet. He was the closest person to me at that time. And still holds true today. There's a fun thing about death, and if someone is your world, is the most important person. I was in 11th grade. He was my world. He was the closest person to me. Okay, I've had dogs. I had dogs die before him. And I felt really bad, about that. But when it's your dad, when it's not only that, not only your dad, but closest friend, person you can go to and talk to about any damn thing you wanted to. And he's seen it all, man. He was a World War II vet. And, the closest thing to me died. On April the 3rd, 1976, my dad died. He was almost going to turn 56. Ooh, 56. Today I am 57. And it's way different than when a dog dies or something you love dies, and it's not a human being that is the most closest person to you. Okay, not only your dad, but most closest person to you. It's a funny thing. It's not very funny at all, really. What happens is you dream he's alive. You dream that you're just being fooled. He never died. Okay, you're dreaming he never died, and he's real in your dreams. And you try to think that he is alive, and they're just fooling you. They're just kidding you around. They're just lying to you. And the doctors, everybody who's involved, is just it's just a conspiracy that your dad died when you know that that's impossible. He's like a Superman. He can't die. He did. He died. I couldn't deal with it. Every time I went to sleep, not every time, but most of the time, I dream that he's alive. I'd carry on conversations while I was dreaming, and it was real. Nightmare on Elm Street, shows you what, that Nightmare on Elm Street, that's one of my favorite series. But Nightmare on Elm Street shows you that what I'm talking about, that's true. Everything in that dream seems very real. And then, if you can't, a crazy person is a person who can't determine from his dream from reality. That to me, that's a crazy person. And I was almost there, bud. And I gotta end this tape because it's gonna be over 20 minutes.